The announcement landed like a thunderclap inside the monarchy's oldest walls. Princess Charlotte, still young, but already carrying the quiet gravity of royal destiny, had been named the inheritor of the forbidden Balmoral estate. And in the same sealed decision, Archie was officially blocked. Not delayed. Not overlooked. Blocked. One child was pulled closer to royal history, while another was shut out with a finality no one expected. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. William did not move when the aide began to read. He stood in the private palace room with his hands at his sides, listening as each word tightened the air around him. Balmoral, the Scottish royal estate, long treated as the family's private emotional refuge, had never been just another house on royal land. It was where monarchs withdrew from public duty, where grief was carried in silence, where decisions were made away from applause, and where the royal family protected memories they believed could not survive outside trusted hands. For William, the name Balmoral meant childhood, loss, duty, and the painful future he was being asked to guard. The aide continued, and the central decision became impossible to soften. A sealed Balmoral estate directive had been opened, naming Princess Charlotte as the rightful inheritor of the restricted private estate, while formally excluding Archie from any claim or ceremonial access. A directive, in plain terms, is an official written instruction meant to guide action without debate. This one did not sound temporary. It did not leave space for later persuasion. It placed Charlotte inside the protected circle and left Archie outside it. William's face changed then, not with victory, not with pride, with the stunned awareness that his daughter had just received a gift shaped like a burden. Charles heard Archie's name and slowly removed his glasses. The king set them down with care, as if one careless movement might break what little calm remained in the room. He loved the idea of family more than the monarchy ever allowed him to show, yet he knew royal continuity could be merciless when blood and duty pulled in opposite directions. The directive was not a routine inheritance note. It was tied to Balmoral's private estate records, the guarded papers that decide who may enter, inherit, represent, or preserve what the family considers sacred. Silence followed the final line. The wording was strong enough to stop any future challenge before it could begin. William looked toward Charles, and the monarch did not answer. He did not need to. Everyone in that room understood the truth. This was not only about land. This was about trust, legacy, and the child the monarchy had chosen to carry its deepest private world forward. But before the palace could absorb what Charlotte had gained, every eye turned toward the people whose futures had just been rearranged by one sealed instruction. This was not just a story about inheritance. It was a story about two children, carrying the consequences of adult choices, royal wounds, and family divisions they never created. Charlotte became the chosen guardian of Balmoral's most guarded private legacy. Archie became the name crossed out before the debate could even begin. And around them, parents, grandparents, and courtiers understood the same painful truth. The monarchy had made its preference visible. Catherine entered Charlotte's room without the firmness she usually carried in moments of crisis. She sat beside her daughter and took her hand, not as a future queen preparing a young royal for duty, but as a mother trying to soften the edge of history. Charlotte did not yet understand the full weight of Balmoral, and that was the first reason this moment mattered. She was not being handed a simple inheritance. She was being pulled deeper into the direct working future of the crown, the central royal line where duty is not optional, where every private gift eventually becomes a public burden. Catherine knew that truth, and she felt it before anyone had to explain it. William stood outside for a moment before entering, and the pause said more than any speech could. He knew Charlotte had been raised close to royal duty, close to the rules, close to the expectations that shaped his own life long before he was ready for them. A restricted private estate, in plain language, means a royal property controlled by special, family conditions, rather than ordinary public ceremony or open inheritance. Balmoral had always carried those conditions differently, because loyalty, residence, and future service mattered there. William understood why Charlotte's name had been chosen. He also understood why that choice would wound another child. Harry received the decision in silence. The words, "no standing claim," held him still, and Meghan watched him read them again, as if repetition might change their meaning. A standing claim means a recognized right to ask for access, inheritance, or formal consideration. Archie had none. Harry looked at the phrase, until Meghan asked what it meant, and for a few seconds, he could not answer. He knew exactly what it meant. Archie remained connected by blood, but the years of distance, royal withdrawal, and institutional mistrust had now become something harder than tension. They had become a barrier. Meghan pressed him again, softer this time, and Harry finally lowered the paper. The exclusion had not been written like punishment, and that made it colder. It was framed as protection, as structure, as a symbolic wall around the active royal future. Archie was not being attacked. He was being placed outside a system that no longer trusted distance to guard its private legacy. William learned soon after that the document had not surfaced when it should have. Someone inside the family had delayed it, kept it back, let uncertainty grow around Balmoral until the truth became explosive. The prince felt the old wound open again. Charlotte had gained something sacred. Archie had lost something invisible. And the palace now had to ask who had tried to hide the decision before it changed everything. And that hidden delay led everyone back to the moment when the Balmoral question first became impossible to ignore. Every royal rupture has a beginning, but this one had a moment so precise that courtiers later spoke of it as the point of no return. It happened during a private Balmoral summer gathering, away from cameras, away from crowds, and away from polished palace language. A single conversation about access, loyalty, and inheritance turned cold. By evening, a door had closed. By morning, the future had changed. Harry arrived at that gathering, carrying more than a father's hope. He carried years of distance, years of silence, and the painful belief that Archie's choice, by blood, should still mean something inside the family's private world. The Balmoral Summer Council, a private family meeting held to discuss estate access and future responsibilities, was never meant to become a battlefield. Yet everyone at that table understood why Balmoral mattered so deeply. It was not only a home, it was the sovereign's most personal retreat, the place where the family protected grief, memory, trust, and decisions too sensitive for public life. William sat across from Harry and chose every word with care. The prince knew his brother was wounded, but he also knew the estate had become a test of loyalty. For years, Balmoral had represented a private circle built around service, residence, and commitment to the crown. If Archie's future access was formally recognized alongside the Wales children, it would signal that distance from royal duty carried no lasting consequence. William could not ignore that. He told Harry that Balmoral could not become a bargaining symbol after years of separation, and the sentence struck harder than anger would have. Harry pushed back immediately. He said Archie should not be made to pay for adult decisions, and for a moment the room lost its careful royal calm. The younger brother was not asking for ceremony. He was asking for recognition, for proof that his son had not been quietly moved outside the emotional map of the family. William understood the pain, but the future king also understood the danger. If Balmoral's restricted inheritance could be opened through pressure, then its private conditions would mean nothing. Charlotte's name entered the conversation with quiet force. She was described as the child most closely tied to Balmoral's next generation of duty, not because she had asked for it, but because her life was already being shaped inside the active royal future. Harry heard that comparison and stiffened. William saw the reaction and knew the wound had deepened. An elderly courtier recorded the meeting later in a documented estate account. writing each phrase with the caution of someone who knew history was listening. The courtier underlined one sentence twice. Restricted inheritance must remain within active royal service. That line became more than a note. It became the foundation for the sealed directive now shaking the monarchy. But when the past finally reached the present, it did not arrive quietly. It exploded in a confrontation no aid could soften. The confrontation was not loud at first. That made it worse. Two brothers stood in a private room with no cameras, no public smiles, and no carefully arranged family unity. On the table between them lay the Balmoral directive. Charlotte's name was printed with certainty. Archie's exclusion was written with colder precision. William looked at Harry, and for a few seconds, neither man spoke. Harry broke the silence first. He did not shout. He leaned forward and tapped the paper with 2 fingers, once beside Charlotte's name, then once beside the line that shut his son out. The Balmoral directive, meaning the written royal instruction that controlled who could inherit or access the estate's private future, had become more than a document. It had become the wound between them. This mattered because Balmoral was not just property. It was the family's most guarded private symbol. A place tied to memory, grief, trust, and the question of who still belonged close to the crown. William kept his voice low, and that restraint made every word heavier. The prince knew Charles had allowed this meeting because the king believed only the brothers could face the pain beneath the legal decision. Charles had not sent lawyers. He had not sent aides to soften the language. He had stepped back because the monarch understood one brutal truth. If the brothers could not speak directly now, the decision would harden into a family scar that no palace statement could ever heal. William knew that, and Harry knew it too. Harry asked whether his brother truly accepted Archie being blocked from Balmoral's instructs to serve private future. The question landed like an accusation. The father in him heard rejection. The son in him heard history repeating itself. Archie had not chosen distance. Archie had not chosen the years of coldness that grew around his parents. Yet the paper treated the child as if separation had become identity. Harry looked at William and waited for the answer he feared. William answered with restrained pain. Charlotte had not asked for this responsibility, he said. She had not asked to become the child chosen to protect Balmoral's next chapter. But the crown had chosen continuity over sentiment, and the future king could not pretend otherwise. A clause inside the directive blocked future appeals through family negotiation, meaning private pressure, emotional pleas, or quiet conversations could not reverse the decision later. Harry understood then. The door was not closed for a season. It was sealed for the next generation. William pushed back his chair, not in anger, but because staying seated felt impossible. The confrontation had exposed the wound, but not the force behind it. Because behind the brothers' anger stood a quieter power, the royal machinery that had already decided who could be trusted with Balmoral. The power behind this decision was not a raised voice. It was a sentence. One line, buried in restricted estate language, carried more force than any family plea. It did not accuse. It did not explain itself emotionally. It simply defined who belonged inside Balmoral's protected inheritance, and who did not. And when Charles read that clause, the room around him seemed to lose its air. Charles stayed alone with the file longer than anyone expected. He read the blocking clause once, then again, as though the words might become gentler if he forced himself to face them slowly. Balmoral's private estate control, in plain language, means the family rules and written instructions that decide who may inherit, enter, or represent the estate outside normal public royal procedure. That mattered because this was not a public succession matter, not the order of who becomes monarch. It was something quieter and more personal. A private estate boundary, carrying royal symbolic power, where trust counted as much as blood. The king closed the folder and pressed his hand flat against it. He did not look victorious. He looked hollow. Old family conditions, private royal instructions, and continuity rules tied to active service had all met in one brutal line. Charles understood why the clause existed. Balmoral could not be treated like an ordinary family asset, because it carried memories, grief, refuge, and the deepest private identity of the crown. Yet he also understood what the wording had done. It elevated Charlotte without needing applause, and it shut out Archie without needing accusation. The senior private secretary watched Charles's expression change. He had seen the monarch angry before, had seen him frustrated by headlines, strained by family tension, and cornered by duty. But this was different. The king was grieving the family cost. The secretary knew that a private secretary, meaning the senior aide who manages a royal figures, official papers and confidential decisions, usually protected the monarch from chaos. This time, no aide could soften the impact. The sentence had already done its work. Charles read the decisive words under his breath. Balmoral. Restricted inheritance must pass only to a child raised within the active future of the crown. The meaning was merciless in its simplicity. Charlotte stood inside that future, because her life was being shaped around service, presence, and continuity. Archie stood outside it, because distance from royal duty had become part of the legal and symbolic record. No public argument was needed. The wording itself made the choice. The folder stayed closed, but the consequences did not. Once the clause became known inside the palace, its force moved faster than whispers could contain. William would feel it as a father. Harry would feel it as a wound. And the first person to feel those consequences was not a lawyer or courtier, it was a mother, watching her child become the symbol of a royal divide. Catherine did not celebrate. That was what made the moment unforgettable. While others spoke of legal strength and royal continuity, she understood the human cost immediately. Charlotte had inherited Balmoral's forbidden estate, but she had also inherited a shadow, the knowledge that another child had been excluded in the same breath. In a quiet room, away from palace language, Catherine sat still and let the weight of it settle. Catherine folded the note from the private secretary with careful fingers and placed it on the desk. She had read every line, yet one truth stayed louder than the rest. Charlotte must never be made to feel she had won something from another child. The private secretary, meaning the senior aide, trusted with confidential royal papers and instructions, had written the update in controlled language. But controlled language could not soften what the palace now faced. Senior households were already being briefed, and an internal briefing, in simple terms, is a private explanation given to key royal offices before a public message is shaped. This mattered because one careless phrase could turn Charlotte's inheritance into Archie's humiliation. William entered and stopped when he saw Catherine's face. The prince had expected concern. He had not expected grief. She looked not like a future queen weighing strategy, but like a mother measuring the cost of duty against a child's innocence. William understood then why the moment mattered beyond Balmoral. Charlotte was not only receiving a restricted estate, she was becoming the visible symbol of a divide the family had failed to heal. The future king had spent hours defending continuity, but Catherine was asking a different question without even saying it. How do you protect a child from a crown-shaped burden? Catherine whispered that Charlotte must be protected from triumph. The word sounded strange in a room where no one had won anything cleanly. Charlotte's inheritance carried expectations, future stewardship, restricted access rules, and symbolic guardianship of Balmoral's private legacy. Stewardship means responsibility for protecting something important, not simply owning it. Restricted access rules mean only approved people may enter or use certain private parts of the estate. Catherine understood those conditions, and she respected them. But she also knew public pressure could turn a quiet duty into a lifelong label. William listened without interrupting. He knew the palace feared sympathy might swing toward Archie if the decision appeared cold, and he knew Harry would hear cruelty even where the document used neutral words. Catherine's silence had already changed the crisis. She was not fighting the directive. She was fighting the way it could damage Charlotte's heart. The prince saw that clearly, and the room shifted around them. Catherine looked at William at last, and the palace machinery suddenly felt far away. Because when she finally spoke to him without aids, protocol vanished, and the decision became painfully personal. The turning point came, not in a council chamber, not in a legal office, and not beneath the glare of public judgment. It came in a private conversation between William and Catherine, where duty stopped sounding like strategy and started sounding like a burden placed on their daughter's shoulders. For the first time since the directive surfaced, William's voice softened. Catherine did not ask him to reverse it. She asked him to protect Charlotte from it. William stayed standing for a moment after the household had gone quiet. The briefings were over. The formal voices had faded, and the palace no longer felt like a machine built to defend itself. Catherine watched him with the stillness of someone who had waited all day to say what could not be said in front of aides. A palace briefing, in simple terms, is a private update given to senior royal offices so everyone speaks with the same message. Those briefings mattered because one wrong phrase could make Charlotte look like a winner and Archie look like a rejected child. Catherine knew that danger. William knew it too. Catherine spoke first, and her words changed the shape of the crisis. Charlotte must grow into Balmoral with humility, she said, not with the coldness others may attach to the decision. Balmoral was no ordinary inheritance. It carried memory, privacy, and duty, and that made the burden heavier than any public title. A royal directive, meaning an official written instruction meant to guide a decision, had placed Charlotte inside that future. But Catherine feared the world would not see stewardship. It would see victory. It would see a little girl standing where another child had been blocked. William lowered his eyes because he understood the warning. The prince had defended continuity all day, but Catherine was protecting innocence. He promised Charlotte would never be presented as Archie's replacement, rival, or victor. The future king chose the words carefully, not because he doubted them, but because he knew they had to survive beyond that room. Charlotte would be described as a guardian, not an owner. Balmoral would be framed as responsibility, not conquest. Archie's exclusion would not be used as proof of royal strength. Catherine pressed further, softer, but firmer. Charlotte's first visit after the directive had to be private, quiet, and free from triumph. No grand statement, no symbolic arrival, no moment that could harden the wound for Harry or Meghan. William listened, and the decision inside him settled. The palace response would emphasize stewardship, protection, and continuity, not punishment. It was the only way to keep Charlotte from becoming a weapon in a family war. William reached for Catherine's hand, and for the first time, the crisis felt less like a ruling and more like a promise. Their daughter would carry Balmoral, but she would not be taught to carry pride against Archie. That private promise shaped the message before dawn, but outside the gates, the world was already turning the story into a storm. And by morning, the monarchy's most private decision was splashed across the public. Imagination in one unforgettable image. The public did not receive the Balmoral decision as a footnote. They received it as a royal earthquake. By dawn, the story had escaped palace corridors and entered breakfast tables, phone screens, and newsrooms across Britain. Charlotte's name stood beside Balmoral, like destiny. Archie's name stood beside exclusion, like injury. And one newspaper front page turned a private inheritance into a national, emotional reckoning. Britain woke to a headline that refused to whisper. A London newspaper carried the image of a misty Balmoral gate beneath the words, "Charlotte chosen, Archie barred," and the simplicity of it made the story feel even harsher. The palace had released a carefully worded statement before sunrise, framing Charlotte's inheritance as private stewardship and continuity. Stewardship, in plain language, means caring for something valuable on behalf of the future, not simply owning it. Continuity means keeping the monarchy's line of duty stable from one generation to the next. The palace chose those words because they sounded calm, but calm words could not hide the wound. The media seized the sharper truth immediately. Archie had been officially blocked from Balmoral's restricted estate future, and that fact traveled faster than any palace explanation. A restricted estate future means the private rights, access, and responsibilities tied to a royal property under special family rules. That mattered because Balmoral was not being discussed like a holiday home. It was being treated as the family's guarded emotional heart, a place linked to trust, loyalty, and the private identity of the crown. Charlotte's name now belonged inside that story. Archie's name had been placed outside it. A small crowd gathered outside Buckingham Palace before noon. Some people stood silently, reading updates on their phones, while others argued in low, tense voices about children, duty, distance, and fairness. One woman held flowers close to her chest and said, "They are children, not chess pieces." Her words spread because they captured what Catherine had feared from the beginning. The public was not only asking who inherited Balmoral. People were asking, what kind of family lets one child become a symbol of belonging while another becomes the symbol of exclusion? Broadcasters framed the decision as the clearest line yet between active royal heirs and distant blood ties. Broadcasters repeated that phrase until it began to sound like a new royal rule. Inside the palace, aides watched the reaction turn emotional, then personal, then unstoppable. The aides understood Catherine had been right. The legal story was smaller than the human one. Charlotte's gain could not be separated from Archie's loss in the public mind. The palace prepared one final message as the storm reached its peak. It had to explain what Balmoral meant, without making Archie look discarded, or Charlotte look crowned by rejection. But when the noise faded, the final meaning of the Balmoral decision was not found in headlines. It was found in the monarchy's choice of what to protect. In the end, the forbidden Balmoral estate was never only about land. It was about belonging. It was about trust. It was about a monarchy deciding that blood alone was no longer enough to unlock its most private inheritance. Charlotte did not simply receive an estate. She received a burden. Archie was not simply left out. He became the clearest symbol of a family line divided by duty, distance, and consequence. Charles walked alone after the final statement was approved, and each step seemed to carry the sound of a choice no one could undo. The king paused beside a Balmoral photograph and looked at it longer than he intended. Balmoral, in simple terms, is the royal family's private Scottish estate, but inside the monarchy, it means far more than a residence. It means memory, retreat, loyalty, and the hidden emotional life of the crown. That was why the decision mattered. Charlotte's inheritance marked a defining shift in royal thinking. Private legacy now followed active duty, not just blood connection. The monarch understood what had been protected, and he understood what had been lost. Archie's block had become the monarchy's most visible statement, that distance from royal responsibility carried lasting consequences. It did not matter that the child had not chosen the distance himself. It did not matter that family feelings still existed somewhere beneath the wreckage. The directive, meaning the official written instruction that fixed the estate decision, had turned years of tension into one permanent boundary. Charles accepted then that family unity could not always survive royal necessity, and the acceptance hurt more than anger ever could. William and Catherine watched Charlotte from a distance, with the quiet pain of parents who knew protection could also feel like pressure. The prince saw his daughter, not as a victor, but as a child, standing at the edge of a life that would ask more from her than it gave. Catherine understood the same truth. She had fought to keep humility at the center of the palace message, yet even she knew the world would remember the contrast. Charlotte named within Balmoral's future, Archie placed outside it. Their daughter had been protected and burdened at the same time. The final emotional truth was simple and sharp. The directive did not erase Archie from the family, but it removed him from one of its most sacred private inheritances forever. Balmoral became the symbol of a new royal rule. Closeness to the crown must be lived, not merely inherited. Blood could open history, but duty would decide who stayed inside it. This moment changed the monarchy because it proved the institution would choose continuity over comfort, duty over sentiment, and Charlotte's future over a wider family peace that no longer existed. There is no final cliffhanger here, only the image of Balmoral standing silent, Charlotte named within its future, Archie placed outside its gates, and the monarchy accepting the cost of the choice it made. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.